Okay, so today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to light a stylized scene. This was a scene I was just working on for an art test, and yeah, so let me show you the final. This was the final. So something like that. A lot of contrast to this. I got some reflections in there too, some backlighting and stuff like that. It's just a very basic tutorial on how I lit this scene. So having said that, let's get started here. Very simple. So this is just a basic default level, as you can tell. What I did here was just put a BSP block. Uh, so I went to place actors and I used, I believe it's geometry. Yeah, so you put a box in, click the box. You can go inside the box, but you see there's no walls on the inside to block the lighting. So what you have to do is come down to the details panel here and click hollow. And what that does is it gives it geometry on the inside, like a shell modifier inside 3ds Max. And if you build the lighting, this will be black. But what it does is it keeps the skylight that Unreal provides with you. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, let me shut this off. Sorry about that. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here? Did I delete that? Yeah, I did. Okay. So we have a dark scene here. I got some candles here. What I'm gonna do is press L, and I'm gonna click into the scene. So what that does is it gives. This is a point light. Ooh, a point light. If you press G to go into game mode, it gives you a point light. So what I like to do is I like to start off my scenes with complete darkness, like this. And then I will either switch it to movable, but I usually keep it stationary. So let's start this off. So just a very basic breakdown of what this light can do. If you go to a tenuous radius and just kind of drag that down, you'll see that that light, the the distance of the light from the light source is a lot smaller. So we'll do something like this and just kind of raise it, and you can see it slowly. So tenuous radius controls that. Let's bring this down to 8 again. I'm going to leave this at maybe 400. Okay. So you could tell it doesn't really resemble candlelight, like at all. So there's a few things that I like to do just to kind of break up this lighting a little bit. If you come down to use inverse square fall off and click this off, you'll notice a little bit of a change. And what that change does, sorry, the best benefit of that change is the light fall off exponent. So if you drag it up and down, you can see that it kind of just breaks up the fall off of it, like how far that light will go. So if you leave this a tenuous radius at a decent size, like if you could see that it's kind of going to touch that entire scene there, and then use the fall off here, scale it up, you can control it a lot more, right? So let's get something like that. That's not bad. Okay. Depending on what you want to do, I use temperature because there's a lot more control with it. Unless you want to get like some type of pink light or something like that. I mean, then you can use the colors. But other than that, I usually just use temperature. A pretty good temperature for warm is, I think, 4400, something like that. I might even go a little bit more. Actually, you know what? For this, let's use the color chart. I think that's what I used. I used the color chart there. Um, okay, so I'm gonna hold Alt and I'm just gonna drag this over here. Okay. I'm also gonna drag this here. I'm just going to where the candles are. Okay, something like that. Where else? I got some candles over here. Okay, perfect. So, as you can see, there's an X across our stationary lighting. Okay, so using movable lighting inside of an actual game is very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. For modern day graphics, maybe not as expensive, but they are pretty expensive. Most people use static or stationary to bake the lightings. For this tutorial, I'm just going to use movable lighting. This way it's so much easier to do it. I don't like the colors, so I'm going to kind of, there we go. Now we're talking. Just kind of play around with it. There we go. So yeah, let's keep going. What happened there was is that stationary lighting, if it had to bake and calculate between these two, what will happen is that this attenuous radius and this attenuous radius conflict with each other, so it'll give some weird artifacting. At least that's what I'm gathering from it. I really couldn't tell you the actual truth, but this is just something I've learned in the past. Um, what's going on here? So yeah, so that's it's a water decal I made. Um, okay, so let's continue. As you can see right now in my world editor, I don't have, oh my God. Um, let's throw these in my lighting file. So my skylight is set to stationary. Okay, I'm gonna switch this to movable, and what that's gonna do is just gonna take that skylight from outside and reflect it on the inside. Intensity scale 1 is very harsh in this situation. If you were to switch it to static, it would try to bake it and everything would just go black. But again, for this tutorial, we're just going movable. So click movable, bring this down to like a 0.1. So you get a little bit of some, I guess, ambient lighting, right? Switch it to static, it's black, movable. There we go. We can change this color to like the orange that we're kind of trying to get. Okay, so that's not bad. So one of the things I like to do is once I set up my base lighting, I'll come over here to switch to lighting only. And what that shows is a breakdown of how the reflections and everything everything's working in here. You could tell it's live, so you can kind of get a little bit more control of what it's doing. I want to turn down the attenuous radius on these again. Turn it down to 300 because I think there's another light there. Yeah, there is. So we're going to bring this guy here. So one of the things when lighting a scene is to know where your light source is, right? You can't just start lighting like random light. You can't just put like a light up here for no reason, right? Then it loses its realism. I have seen some levels that are strictly just unlit. Not like this, but there's a little bit of lighting, I guess, in it. But yeah, it's very important to um, know where your lighting is coming from. So in this case, I have candles in here. Uh, okay, so let's keep going. So I'm going to show you another way to kind of break up this contrast here. It's very dull, it's just orange. One of the best mixes you can do is an orange and a blue for lighting. So let's come here. Let's go to lighting, lights. We'll just drag in a spotlight. Okay, so let's rotate this, bring this over here. Maybe get this on an angle, something like that. Lift it up. Okay. Scale it out a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to use temperature. I'm going to switch this to movable. Temperature. And I'm going to crank this up to maybe 9,000. Okay. Spotlights work a little bit different than point lights. Obviously, they're two different things. Spotlights have a little bit more control with how you want to aim a light, I guess you could say. So by default, it comes with the inner cone closed off. You want to just open this up. Maybe get this to 44. Okay, not bad. The problem is that it's not bleeding out. It just kind of dies out there. So again, we can use the fall off square. And I'm going to drop that down to a 2. Wow, I don't know why that happen. I'm gonna change this to 20. That might be overkill. There we go. Okay, so that temperature again is not working the way I want it to work. So we're just gonna we're gonna change the lighting to blue. So usually stylized environments are highly saturated colors. I have seen games that are very low saturated colors in stylized art. One of those games could be Valorant. Valorant's a very stylized game, but it's very low saturated colors. The players are higher saturated, so it's easier for the other players to see the other guys or whatever. But yeah, so let's continue this. So we have that one. I want to get some more lighting over here. Maybe do like a 90-degree angle. And set the back there. All right, something like that. Okay. It's very simple. It's nothing overcomplicated. We're not going to bake any lighting. Again, I'm going to use this Skylight to kind of get that ambient glow I want. So let's just maybe 3. Color is super off. Let's sample. Let's sample this color here. All right, let's go back to lighting. Skylight. Still not liking it, so let's go 0.5. Not bad. So I'm gonna bake this lighting. I know what you're thinking. It's movable while you're baking. You still have to bake regardless. So I'm gonna bake this. I'm gonna stop this video and we'll come back. Okay, and we're back. I don't know what's going on over here. Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is our scene now. You can notice everything's black, and that's because I baked everything. Yeah, so this is pretty good. It's a pretty good starting point. Um, so now it's time to kind of play around with the settings. So there's something called volumetric fog, and I use this a lot actually. It works really good. So let's do this. So let's get an exponential fog and throw that in there. So as you can see, it kind of adds a fog there. One of the things you need to enable is volumetric fog. So what happens is the lighting here will, you know what, let me just show you. It's better for me to explain. So fog density, I'm going to change that to 1. And as you can see, these lights are reflecting the fog. So let's put this at 10. Okay. See that? So if I drag this here, I'm almost certain. Cast volumetric shadow. I just realized these guys weren't anything near the candles. Let me enable this. There we go. Okay. Same thing with these guys. I am almost certain they need that as well. Cast volumetric shadow. There you go. And there you go. This guy here. Okay. So now we got some nice little rays coming through just by adding that fog. I'm not going to keep the fog at 1 because that's like overkill. But you can bring it down to like a 0.5, maybe 0.4. You get some like really nice like God rays. Like that's as simple as it can get, right? So let's go back to Skylight. Let me see what this does. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, let's get that orange we want. Okay, that's good. Bring this down to 2.0.2. Yep, maybe even 0.1. Let's just play around with the colors. I just want to make the contrast a little bit more interesting. There we go. So something like that. If you hit F12, F11 when you're in the active viewport, you get the full screen. So yeah, this was just a very simple, quick tutorial just to show you how I lit the scene. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. This is a very simple, very straightforward tutorial. I didn't want to get into depth of anything. But yeah, so thanks for watching and take care.